What's up, man? Hey, good morning. We'll give everyone some time to jump in here. Who's enjoying the fall weather? It's my favorite time. And not just because I have a birthday coming up. All right, we'll give it another minute or two at most. Travis, you can't hear anything. Can anybody else hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear you. I'm muted because I'm in the car.
No, that's just fine.
I can hear you now. Sorry about that. That was on my end.
No, no worries. Technology is great until it's not.
Right.
No. Good to hear from you, Travis. I haven't connected in a while.
Yeah, how you been?
I've been good.
Good.
Chugging along, doing the things. All right. Well, we'll let people join in as they join in here, but who am I? Some of you have been here before. Some of you haven't been here before. My name is Joe Schwartzbauer. I run the Great Neck Properties team here in the Twin Cities with Real Broker. Excited to do these masterminds with everyone. I think all of us learning together, growing together is super important. And I like being involved in the agent community and something that I truly enjoy doing. So who's feeling a little bit anxious about the current market right now? Yeah, it's a bit interesting. Rates are at 7%. Marcus, Brad, yeah, is that about what we're seeing?
Yeah.
Stephanie? Yeah. So it's interesting. We've never, most people in our careers, most people that have been around for a while, I guess, haven't seen quite 7%. It's a big number and pretty scary for a lot of people thinking about what the past 2 years were like. I mean, real estate, making a move in real estate, it's logical, it's emotional. There's a lot of different reasons why people make a move. I mean, the logical reasons are death, divorce, disease, marriage, kids, those types of things. But it is that emotion that really brings people back to making a move. And I think being open to that emotion, coming back to people's real reasoning for making a move, the pain of their current living situation really tends to be one of the biggest things that I've found that can help somebody move from one spot to another and make them make that decision with a clear mind anyway. How's everyone's mindset about everything that's going on right now?
Man, it's interesting. That's for sure.
Yeah.
It's just going to be an adjustment. People are always going to move. It's just a matter of figuring out what's their motivation, I guess.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, we saw last time, as rates have creeped up, it's been this kind of ladder in the market where rates jump up. Everyone takes a little bit of a pause for a minute. And then sooner or later, everyone comes back around and realizes that these are not that bad.
Right.
There's a lot of different loan programs out there now too that can really help with this. I mean, whether it's the simple rate buy down, the 2-1 buy down, which has been getting popular recently, that's a super cool loan product. I mean, somebody that's able to get a 2% less interest rate for the first year, that's huge. I mean, we're coming up on election years here soon. I think it's a proven stat that every time there's an election that takes place, rates seem to go down.
Yeah. Money gets cheaper always.
Yeah, it seems to, gas goes down, interest rates go down, all that type of thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's an opportunity too. I appreciate you putting this on, Joe, because I think part of it is when you talk about mindset, is just being around people that, have that go-getter positive mindset. Because you're right. People always, I'm sure a lot of you, I've been in this business for 20 years. When I got into this business, rates had dropped to 6.875 and it was a frenzy. I mean, everybody was like, oh my God, this was unheard of. I mean, we're bonkers. We couldn't keep up with the phone calls. So there's a lot of people who are used to comfortable at buying at this interest rate. And it's the home ownership. It's really, again, kind of finding their why they want to move. Like you said, death, disease, divorce, whatever it is.
Yep. Marriage, kids, school, relocation, all that type of stuff. It still happens. I mean, this is not 2008. The housing market hasn't come to a complete halt. Yes, things are different without a doubt. Things are slower. You know, we will see a lot less homes sold over this next year. And I think that's something that all of us need to be focused a little bit differently on our current business and go back to doing some of those things that we were doing pre-COVID, pre-pandemic, all of that, you know, rather than all these fish just jumping into our boat, we're not having that so much anymore. We need to be focused on those activities, the prospecting. I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't done much prospecting over the past couple of years. And it's because it was just easy. People were just being thrown at us, basically. So having real estate conversations every single day is wildly important. It's been 2.5 years, I think, since COVID started, basically, and we were all a bit scared about what was going to happen. You know, we thought the world was basically going to end, type of thing. No more homes were going to be sold, and we were all a bit wrong with what took place in that. But going back to those daily activities, going back to taking care of my sphere is something that I am really, really focused on. It's something that I would challenge all of you guys to, you know, call every single person that you have sold a house to and have a conversation with them. Now, I would not recommend calling. There's two types of phone calls, I think, when you are calling your sphere. There is the business phone call and there is the checking in phone call. I love the checking in phone calls, and that's something that I do quite a bit with past clients. Hey, I saw that you guys were on a trip, blah, blah, blah. That looked amazing. Check in, do that, be friendly and whatnot. But I think there's also, and especially right now, a really good opportunity to be that real estate professional and to check in and literally call them and say, hey, I would like to have a business call with you. Not fluff, 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 and then make it business. Because if you do that, you're transactionalizing that person. You acted like you wanted to talk to them, and then now you're talking about business. I think naming that phone call up front is a really, really important thing to do. That I am here to talk to you about business. There is a lot of news out there in the world today, and I've got to imagine you being a homeowner, you've got some questions about it. And being that source of news, being that person that is able to speak to them, and you've got to be prepared for those phone calls. You've got to know the market. You've got to know what's going on, but it's also a really good opportunity for you to just listen and hear people out and understand what their fears are and where they're at in the current market. And those types of phone calls, naming it as business, is going to get you business. You are now positioned and you look like that real estate professional. I think that's really, really important for everybody in the current market and in the current situation of what's going on right now.
Say, Joe, to kind of piggyback on what you said about kind of transactional versus more of a long play. I completely agree. I think transactional real estate is really going to be hurting, and those systems that people have set up specifically for transitional real estate over the next couple of years, I think are really going to be hit quite hard. I've known Stephanie for a while. We worked together back at Wells Fargo years ago. I'd be curious to hear her. I know she mentioned positivity. I frankly kind of look at what's happening in the market right now as something that's kind of been long overdue. I think we're at zero interest rate for far too long. I'm actually looking forward to getting back to a market that's similar to when I got in, 2009, 2010. When you really did have to be quite a bit more thoughtful with buyers. And I think, realtors needed to be a bit more thoughtful with sellers as well. And I think it just allows us to do our jobs that much better when we don't look at real estate as this transactional industry, because really it's not. I mean, it's the biggest purchase that 90% of people in the world are going to make in their lifetime. And it should never be looked at as a transactional industry, in my opinion.
100%. Well, and I can tell you, about, staying in touch with your clients in your sphere. I've been in the business, for 20 plus years. I have not originated a loan in 10 years. I'm in management and I manage a team of loan officers. However, I still stay connected to my book of business. I still send them out hard mailings and emails and so forth. And every week, guaranteed, just 2 days ago, I got a call from my client. He relocated from Minnesota to Arizona. He's retiring. I did his loan 11 years ago. And he called me and said, my son is buying a house. Can you help him with his purchase? You were so good to me 11 years ago. Of course, but how could he find me, right? I mean, because I still, for 11 years, I still mail to him. I still email to him. I just have never let my clients go. And I haven't really, done much calling because it's not what, I do prospect. I don't call prospects. I pass the leads on to my team. But the fact that he was still getting my information, he easily found me. And he just, he remembered, I'll never forget, because he called me like on Thanksgiving. He said, I can't believe you're working on Thanksgiving. I'm like, well, it's the nature of the beast in our business. So to all of you, I can't stress that enough, how important it is to stay connected, because you just don't know. And with jobs, people relocating, same thing. A team member of mine called, she said, well, this person was at 2.5%. They owed like $80,000 on a $700,000 property. What are they going to do? There's more than just a refinance. She called and she said, well, actually, I just got a job. I'm relocating out to Washington, D.C. Can you do a loan for me out in D.C.? Yeah. Okay. I'm looking at a $1.5 million house. Whoa. She wasn't going to call it because they were at 2.5, there's nothing there. You have to find what's behind the curtain, because if it's not them, it's their kids, it's their neighbors, it's their family, their friends that needs your assistant. And you're top of mind when, like you said, Joe, when you're calling them, just saying, hey, what questions do you have? I'm good. But I was just talking to this gal at work and she's going through a divorce. Could you help her? Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, be searchable too, like you were saying, she was able to find you type of thing. Be searchable, I truly believe that we should all have a strong social media presence. Social media is something that has become wildly more important in today's world. Using social media for that, creating blog posts from any type of content that you're doing. Blog posts are highly searchable. These topics that are coming up right now and all of this, it's Jason Pantana talks about this a lot and says that any bit of content that you are putting onto social media, you should be turning that into a blog post. It should be going onto your website. It's going to help your SEO. It's going to allow you to be searchable. I think that is a very smart and very easy thing to do. You're speaking it out to the world. Just type it down, have your admin type it down. There's even a lot of AI programs out there that will take literally what you're saying and turn it into a blog post for you. I'm not sure what the name of it is, but I looked into one just recently anyway. Yeah, we're all owners of our own businesses, whether we are on a team or not. We all own our businesses. And I think it's really important that we act like owners. And we do the daily activities of what a business owner does. It's very easy in the real estate industry as a solo agent to get complacent a little bit, because a lot of times you don't have anybody pushing you. And we need to be business owners. We need to understand that the activities that we're doing today oftentimes aren't going to pay off for 6 months, 12 months, 2 years down the road. It's very, very important that what we're doing today impacts the future of our business. I mean, this year there's less than 100 days left of this calendar year. That means there's 60 days left to pen to property that's going to close this year. Most of the activities that we are doing today are going to result in closings next year. Anyone doing goal setting yet?
That's just a crazy thought that there's less than wow.
Christmas is like less than 90 days away.
That's
nuts.
crazy.
Yeah, goal setting. We've started doing some goal setting. We're behind on it. I think goal setting should be taking place, over the previous couple months. I mean, if we're not on top of what we're doing right now for next year, we're actually behind the gun already. So I think everybody needs to sit down, focus on what their goals are, put a plan in place for it. It's important to have those goals out there. I'm big on setting big lofty goals, but I know not everybody is. I like lofty goals though.
It'll be interesting to
You said
see
100 million.
whether goals for next year are as reachable as we got conditioned to feel these last several years, where you set a huge goal and either meet it or come darn close, with transactions or the number of transactions likely to go down over the next 12 months. Where we end up versus goals, I think, at least myself, I'm sure I'm going to set volume goals, but I think I got to set activity goals as a more important thing, because those are the leading indicators, and those are the things that are going to get us to maximize what we've got when we really don't know how much business is out there next year.
100%. I mean, winter's coming. I don't know if anyone's a Game of Thrones fan, but winter is coming. Winter is here essentially. Like the market has changed, and this is I would consider this very much wartime. The past 2 years were very much peacetime. It was very easy, but this is going to be a winter of survival. There is a lot of agents that are not going to make it through this. Transactions are going to be way down. The number of people that have interest rates in the 2.5% to 3.5% that are going to choose not to sell is through the roof. It is so many people. They would rather, do a rehab on their house, do an addition, do whatever it may be to make their home more livable for them. Or there's the people that realize that interest rate is probably never going to come around again, and they're going to keep that property as a rental property, and that home is not going to come on the market. Number of transactions is going to go down. There is just no doubt about that. And being prepared for some of that for this winter to make it through is really important. Taking care of your sphere, I would say, is the absolute number one thing that we can all do. Like I said earlier, call everybody, reach out to them, put them on a newsletter. If you don't have a newsletter going, start creating one. Be that news source. It should go out at least twice a month. I'm embedding videos, YouTube videos into mine right now, trying to be that the better source of news. Not the national media, but the local, ultra local media for my sphere and my past clients.
Hey, Joe, let me ask you, or ask the group of real estate agents. I listened to, I don't know if any of you listened to Brian Buffini, big real estate guru guy, but he did a session about a couple months ago, but he talked about a letter, and I can share it with the group if you want, but it was really just basically stating kind of what their home value is. Is that something that you, like, realtors would send out, or you feel would be a letter that would be valuable to your clients, just saying, hey, just thought I'd check in with you, just because I feel, and maybe, I don't study the real estate as much as you do, but, is Zillow still way inaccurate? Or, I guess to me, I just think it would be it's a great letter. I would like it, because I'm always curious too. I mean, I'm in the business. I have a site that I can check my home value on, but do you think that'd be something that people could send to their sphere and just say, hey, it's been 5 years since, I sold your home, but just doing some checking, here's where the current value of your home is. Is that, what do you think about that?
There are a number of different ways you can do that. It is a fantastic way to reconnect with good news with the people that you've worked with. Whether it's 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, anybody who has worked with you, it's amazing the equity they have built. And sometimes they have no idea.
Right.
And there are a number of different ways to do it. You can do it with, I mailed a 20-page CMA out to somebody last week, and we're scheduling a meeting coming up. You can also send something like HomeBot, and HomeBot's a great way to do it. The problem is it's less personalized. It's a little more slick. They're two different animals. Another thing you do is just send a letter that that tells them what their home range is. You want to start a conversation. You don't want to give them the value, because at that point you're closing the door rather than opening one for a discussion.
That's a good point.
I really like that. That's I haven't thought about it like that. I tend to do equity updates and literally just send them out and say, hey, listen, this is where we're at. But I do like the idea of, hey, would you like an update, and giving a bit more of a range. I got in the habit of doing actually video CMAs. So literally kind of walking them through my process of running an analysis and doing it live on the screen type of thing, uploaded it into YouTube, and then sending them out an email with that YouTube link embedded in there. I've got a Chrome extension that allows me to literally put like the video within the email and everything. But that's a really interesting point, that oftentimes it doesn't continue the conversation, that it is just, here's the info pretty much.
Yeah, I like that idea of the range, but I personally, I just think it's something that would be really valuable, because yeah, everybody's always kind of curious. And then I think, I would say when Buffini talked about it in this letter, I looked at it as kind of a nice win for the realtor. Like, hey, I helped you buy this house, because you did this at this time. Look at how much equity you have earned on your property now. Like, it's kind of like pumping yourself up in a way, but not really, you know what I mean? Like, I helped you with this investment, and you've got $80,000 worth of equity in your home. And then I think, like, to your point, Austin, like, just some ideas is, what can you do with that equity? I mean, granted, rates are higher, but you could do a cash out refinance to buy that second property or that investment property, or help your kids, buy a house or something like that. So, yeah, I think, because like your point, Joe, people are going to go to social media, so they could, go to Zillow.com or Realtor.com or wherever people go to get their home value. And then we know what happens then, right? Boom, 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 boom. They're getting bombarded. So, I'll send you the letter that Buffini put out. It's just a standard letter that if you guys want it, you can use it, but, and you can tweak it to whatever you want. But I just thought it was, a really great, it was well written, and just kind of a great way to connect with your clients. Just, hey, here's the value of your home, and you've gained this much value in X amount of years since I sold your home.
Well, I think, even
Definitely.
recent clients, people that we've worked with over the last year to 2 years that maybe didn't put 20% down, that have mortgage insurance, getting that removed for them, letting them know that they can now remove that. I had a client that bought last November. He's got $75,000 in equity in his house already. He got a smoking good deal on it. They did some improvements to it. It's in a much better situation, but he's going to be able to remove his mortgage insurance and, save some money every month. But offering value to your past clients, to your sphere, is wildly, wildly important.
Definitely what you were saying there is talking about investment properties. I posted something on Facebook the other day that said in 10 to 15 years, first-time home buyers are going to be out of the picture. So for those of us that have kids, should buy an investment property right now, have our renters pay for the mortgage, and that way, when our kids are 18, 19, 20 years old, you give it to them. And that blew my brain. I'm like, oh my goodness, like that's a huge investment. That's an appreciating asset for my kids. Sign me up right now. So starting to have that conversation with other people, I'm just having so many more investment conversations right now, because I'm flipping the script of what everybody is talking about, which is buying a primary house. So flipping it to investment properties. I'm telling you, I've had more conversations about investment properties in the last 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, than I have in my entire career. Pretty fun.
Yep. I think anybody right now, us as real estate agents, we should be practicing what we're preaching without a doubt. I think we all should be owning investment properties. I think that an investment property is the best college fund you could ever start for a child. Just like Marcus was saying there, it is, in my opinion, far, far better, and is going to get you much further. And maybe when that kid goes to college, maybe he doesn't go to college, who knows? But now there's an asset. There's a home that he could live in. There's a home that is for him. It's just, to me, that is a much better investment. I think that it is going to be we haven't seen as many investors in the market over the past couple of years. Just with everything that prices have been doing, I think that now there's a little bit more ease with home buying. There is a little less panic, a little less FOMO going on, that type of thing. A few more deals that can be had. I think we're going to see quite a few investors come out of the woodwork. We're getting a home equity line on one of our rental properties, and we plan on buying additional rental properties over this winter because I think there's going to be some deals to be had out there.
Well, even, you know, with these baby boomers, you know, I was having a conversation with someone else, and it's, you know, the aging population, right? They're like, well, we can't afford a nursing home. Well, you know, dad can't afford to take care of mom because dad's health isn't any good and he's not equipped to take care of mom. And so that's the other conversation too, is, you know, as people get older, you know, maybe, you know, kind of to like Marcus's point, even as well as setting your kids up, like, okay, mom and dad aren't going to be able to stay in this house. They can't take care of the yard. Us as kids can't take care of it. But, you know, so maybe position in that way, like they are going to have to go to assisted living. But then maybe, you know, and the kids, and sometimes you got to get over, like, I don't want to live in grandma and grandpa's house. I want one of those cool new construction houses down the road. But it's helping them understand about the appreciation of real estate. And, you know, it's your first home. Okay. This is not your forever home. It's your first home. And maybe that's just, you know, an opportunity to get into some of these properties and, you know, these people realizing that, you know, I get at the cost of healthcare, but home healthcare isn't any cheaper than assisted living, right? Because dad can't take care of mom. So you're going to have to bring somebody in the house. If you look at the cost of home healthcare versus assisted living, it's probably about the same, you know? So if they can, again, you know, sell that asset to the child or to somebody else, and then get that child to understand that, hey, this house has opportunity, right? And that's where realtors, you get your expertise, you know, hey, we could knock out this bedroom, or this could have an extra bathroom or something, you know, but.
Yeah, speaking of, you brought up Buffini earlier. He's big on the referrals and everything. I've personally not been a huge fan of him and always asking for referrals. But how many of you have ever taught your past clients in your sphere how to give you a referral? It's something that most people don't think about, that like there is actually a process in how that should be done, and teaching your people how to do that. Literally having the conversation with them of, if you know somebody that is looking to buy, and if you feel that they would benefit from the service that I've given you, start a three-way text with us. Introduce me, and then I'll take you from there. I'll take it from there. Don't just have that person, don't just give that person my information. Start a three-way text. Actually connect us. So I think that's something that we often don't get referrals because there isn't that actual point of contact. Just giving somebody's information is not good enough, in my opinion. You know, it's the same. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to tell you, I'm 100% referral. I have a zero advertising budget. I've never advertised. So that's all I work. But how I do it is, and I kind of have a process. I help a lot of, you know, I work with a lot of estates, and I work with a lot of clients that are going into assisted living. So a lot of listings are coming to me from my friends, families, network, and their aging parents or aunts or, you know, somebody else. So what I do is I act as a general contractor, and I hire all of the painters, the carpet people. I basically go in, I have a whole process, and they just have to write the check. And that's what I just came from a seller signing, pre-signing, that the seller said all I had to do was write the check. It was amazing. So, you know, they're going to pay for that in the commission that I charge. But what I just did it, I just came back, it was at 9 o'clock. And so what I said is, you know, I tell the client, I gave you 150%. And he said, absolutely. I said, so what I do is, I said, my process is I don't call. I've never cold called anybody. I've never door knocked. I've never advertised. I said, my time is spent helping you. And then now I kind of hope and expect that you are then going to find me my next client. That's the only way I can give you 150%. And he said, oh, I get that. He said, I would refer you in a heartbeat. I said, okay, let's talk. Who do you know? And then that's what I always do it at the closing table. And when they are so excited and happy, it works. And so I already have 2 names as of just at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's it's really impressive. It's very impressive. Most people struggle to build a referral based business. So many people, we get transactional, and it's tough to get out of that mode, and giving that level of service to people, of course they are going to refer people to you, but you still have to ask for it. You still have to name it and let people know that this is how I run my business. This is how I plan to take care of others. And when you know somebody, I want you to be thinking of me.
If any of you out there are, if any of you out there are podcast listeners, I just posted a link in the chat. It's an episode that really made an impact on me in terms of how to handle referrals and how to identify referrals. And most people, as Joe said, will say, yeah, I'll give my friend your number. Well, how often does that work? And so there's a script in this podcast. I don't remember it exactly, but I use the gist of it, which essentially is, that's terrific. Thank you so much for thinking of me that way. But in my experience, very few of the people who receive a number call. There's a resistance there. If you really feel that this person can use my help, especially in such a difficult or challenging market, it's best that I have the ability to call them, so they really do get the help that they need.
I was going to say, I have to jump here in a little bit, but well, first of all, congratulations, Mary Sue. That's fantastic. And you're right. I think though you have to teach people, and more so in lending. I talked to my team, people, you did a refinance for somebody, people will pigeonhole you. It had happened to me years ago. People said, well, we bought a house. Well, I didn't think you did purchase loans because you're always talking about refinancing. Oh, whose fault was that? Mine. Same thing, if you do a lot of listings or you listed somebody's house, they may think you're just a listing agent. They didn't know that, oh, you could help my son or daughter buy their house. I thought you just listed homes, so you're right. You've got to tell them that I'm working for you and I can do this for you. So, but anyways, a great seminar, Joe. I have to jump to another call, but thanks everybody for your time.
Thanks, Stephanie.
Thank you. Bye, Stephanie.
Yeah,
Are there any other lenders?
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to ask Stephanie a question. Are there any, Marcus, are you a lender? You raised your hand. Okay. Can we talk about, I keep hearing opportunities for buyers or sellers to offer like a 2-1 buy down. And that
Absolutely.
is something that we could offer the buyers from the listing. Is there anybody that can talk about that?
Yeah, could you explain that in layman's terms?
I will tell you guys, it is phenomenal and amazing. And 100% as a listing agent, you should be offering that prior to doing a price reduction. 100%. But
Absolutely.
I'll let Marcus explain it.
Okay, so I'm going to use some arbitrary numbers here today. So I'm going to still say my NMLS number is 1562697 since we are recording. So I'm just going to say this goes off of loan amount. Okay, so what this is a temporary buy down for your buyers. For the first year, their interest rate is 2% lower than what we lock in at. The second year is going to be 1% lower than what we lock in at. And for the remainder of the 28 years, it's back to our original note interest rate. So if we look at a loan amount of $300,000, 7% interest rate, their principal and interest payment is going to be $1,996. The savings that our clients are going to have is $385 per month, year one, and year two is $197 per month. So I put this in this fancy calculator and it's going to cost $6,992 for the seller contribution of this transaction that needs to go to our buyers to pay for this. So then when we do our disclosures, we just say temporary buy down and it sends out disclosures in that manner. But again, it costs just about $7,000 for our clients to save that money. Now, when you look at saving $385, what type of price reduction do you need to make for your buyers to save that kind of money year one? It's a lot. Okay. So if you do a $10,000 price reduction, you're going to save your clients $50. Really worth it? Probably not. So temporary buy down, 100%. If our clients are banking on refinancing 2 to 3 years from now, totally worth spending the money this way. This allows them to get to their higher price point or the higher end of their budget, but then for that first year or two, gradually work that way into that payment. Hopefully they get promotions. Hopefully they get a better job. Hopefully they can refinance back to a lower interest rate when the times come. Make sense?
Yeah.
Question?
Now, is that something that a lender could write up and you could put it with the listing contract? So buyers, because I don't know that buyers agents know enough to even understand to explain that to their buyers.
I really hope that's the case. Just send them all to me. I'll make sure I take care of every single one of them.
Fair enough.
I've been kidding, but
I get that. But is that, you know, is that something
Yeah.
legally that you can even put in, you know, in the financial remarks, or you can, you know, you
there's
could
no
have a
need
piece
for
of
it.
paper.
Mary, essentially it's a program that it has to be paid for by the sellers. So essentially what
No.
you can put in the agent remarks is that you are offering to pay closing costs. And those closing costs can be used for a rate buy down and a 2-1 buy down.
No, I understand. I understand that from my point of view, but how do we educate the buyer's agent? Because there are a lot of buyer's agents that would just say closing costs. They don't know enough to explain it to the buyer. So is that something that can be, you know how you used to work with, well, I don't generally, but you know, with a lender, and you have like a, you know, kind of like a sheet that tells what the home might be and how, I can't even talk. I'm sorry. I'm in the middle of a parking lot. I'm very
Yeah,
distracted.
it's a sheet that basically shows you if you put down 10%, your
Yeah.
payments are gonna be X, 15, 20, that type of thing. Yeah, I'm sure Marcus could come up with something like that. There could be one, either a flyer at the home, or you could possibly, I mean, would legally, would you be able to put that in the supplements, or is that kind of advertising for a
Well,
lender?
that's what I'm asking. Can it be advertising, or is it too specific? Do they need to call you, or can you actually have that written up and put in the supplements?
I mean, I think you can put it in the supplements as long as you didn't put the lender's info and logo and that type of thing in there. It can just be a generic copy of, hey, this is what's possible. Feel free to reach out and I can connect you with somebody who can make this happen, you know?
Yeah.
No.
And
I
it's
just like to
also your
utilize
lender. Your
everything.
lender needs to educate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Like if your
Very-
lender's not educating your buyers what mortgage is, they're probably doing a disservice to your client. Not saying
Mary,
that
another
that's
great
the
way to
case.
do it would be to pull your reverse prospecting list, and you can send a direct email to all of those people and let them know that this is an option and this is
Yeah.
what we're going to do.
I have a listing right now that they're going to be taking it off the market in a week if we don't sell. So I'm just trying to find options, just trying to find some options of, you know, what to do.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Also
Okay.
opportunity right there for sure.
So
I think
is
to
this
me, it's
something-
sorry, as a lender, we offer the 2-1 as well, but I think the best place for a realtor to put it would be in like the financing scenario. You know, you have like for an open house buyer, conventional FHA, VA, you know, including the 2-1 in there. But it's essentially a teaser rate. So I would say sort of advertising it like that, like, hey, did you know if you buy this home, you know, there are ways where you can get a rate which is 2% below market value. Ask me how. And then to Marcus's point, you know, kind of tee them up with whichever lender you prefer that offers that 2-1.
Yeah. I mean, it's rare that I don't do open houses. I don't do advertising. So I'll advertise the client. I don't get a lot of, and that's just how I work, but I basically list the house. I don't work with a lot of buyers on my own listings. And so I'm just trying to figure out how I can educate the buyer's agent, you know, through that information. But that's just, I'll figure that out.
I think
I think
Joe's
you also have to
Joe's
educate your
idea
sellers.
Of reverse
Joe's idea
prospect.
of
Yeah.
Joe's idea of reverse prospecting, I think, makes a ton of sense. Getting the email out to everybody who's shown it and say, hey, we can get you a preferable rate. And then for any showings you've got between now and when your clients pull the plug, you have a slick out on the counter that says, ask us about how you can get a reduced rate on this home.
Yeah, I like that idea. Yeah. You know, you just kind of almost give up. You're just like, I don't know. I got to figure out something. But, and of course it's family, right? It's always family.
Yeah, the worst ones always.
Yeah, always.
So mortgage brokers, do you have something that we can take to our sellers? Because we would certainly have to get their buy-in on this in their understanding.
I have a calculator.
Sure, yeah,
that I
we have
could
marketing
send out.
material.
Okay. Can I connect with you to get something?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'll throw my
I'll
information in the
you guys all
chat.
get connected
Brad, if
after
you could do the
this,
same.
without a doubt. It's a good program. I mean, essentially, you just need the seller's permission that, hey, are you guys wanting to do a price reduction, or would you prefer to, you know, offer 3% closing costs and make this work a little bit slicker, in my opinion, anyway.
One thing to remember on this is it's 3% of the loan value, not 3% of the home value. So it's less out of the pocket of the seller.
Oh, that's good to know. Thank you.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong with one of the lenders here, you could still, on the buy side anyway, I could still ask for 3% seller pays and use that additional for going towards some of the closing costs, correct?
Yeah, I just got an FHA deal with 5% seller paid.
Wow, nice.
So
And
it's like
FHA, correct me if I'm wrong, you can
21,000.
go up to 6%?
6. Well, or conventionally, you can go up to 9 if you're putting enough money down.
Wow.
All right, y'all, I got a jet. Good,
There's
good.
Travis, thank you for joining us. I love it. I love that. I think that's you know, with the market doing what it is, it's just we need to be more creative nowadays. There's a lot of ways to sell a home, but you know, offering as many different options for our sellers and for our buyers, I think has never been so important. Just with everything that's going on, being that knowledge source, having that information for them, wildly important right now. Marry the date, or marry the house, date the rate. Who's been talking about that?
Yep.
Yeah, I think that we need to be practicing kind of what we preach in that as well, though. That, you know, there's been a lot of talk about that. I think that it's very important. It's a good thing to talk about, but I think it's also very important to get those buyers connected with a lender to really understand that. You know, how far are interest rates going to come down again? You know, nobody does know. There's a lot of predictions out there that say they're going to come back down into the 4s, but like, you don't want to put somebody in a bad situation. You don't want to be that person that says, hey, 100% rates are going to come down. More than likely, yes, they are. But I don't want to be left holding that bag if they don't, and having that buyer come back to me now with higher payments, wondering why these rates did not come down. Becky, did you have something to say? You had your hand raised.
No, I didn't. I accidentally raised my hand.
No problem. Well, holidays are coming. I think that this year, more than any other year, is not a time to let off the gas pedal. You know, oftentimes during the holidays, I like to take a break. I like to slow down. This is like I was saying earlier, a winter of survival. I think that this is more now than ever a time to put the foot on the gas, do some of the things that we haven't been doing over the past few years, making sure that we are procuring business for ourselves in the future. It is, in my opinion, now more important than ever. Anything anybody want to touch on while we have still a few people on here?
So I have a question. I'm not sure if you can answer this or if somebody can, but on the association websites where you get all the current information on pendings and all that, isn't there a place on there where you can get price reductions? Like how many properties, what percentage of properties are doing price reductions now? And how many showings there's been, or is that on showing time?
So if you go onto the front page of the MLS and
Yep.
go to Market Watch, it'll show you right there. I have
Oh.
mine customized to the 7-county metro for the past week for single family homes. And in the past week for single family homes, there have been 864 homes with a price reduction.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
So those numbers are up. I mean, I'm big on that Market Watch. It's something that I literally take a look at every single day. For me, it's really important to be on top of that news. You know, we are the professional. We need to know exactly what's going on in the market. And that's something that I look at every single day. In the past week, 943 new listings, 787 of listings went pending, not of those new listings, but that's total numbers. I watch that just strictly to have a better understanding of inventory levels and kind of where things are at. And I haven't seen a big enough discrepancy in new listings to pendings being low that our inventory is going up drastically. We are creeping up type of thing. It is nothing that's moving up at a clip like things did 2007, 2008. So we're still staying with that low inventory.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. MAR has great weekly stats that they put out as well. They're the 10K stats. If you just Google MAR, essentially Minneapolis Area Association of Realtors, they've got some really, really great stuff that they put out. And if you're a member of MAR, highly recommend listening to David Arbit every single month. Around the middle of the month. He is phenomenal. I love to hear him speak. He is a total data nerd, super self-deprecating, but very entertaining to listen to, and has just an abundance of real estate knowledge.
Okay.
All right. Anyone else got anything? Otherwise, I think we're going to wrap this up.
I would just say, as a lender, you know, if you're a seller, just make sure you really know FHA and VA, you know, kind of property requirements. There's still a ton of those buyers out there, VA specifically, who, you know, didn't have a chance for the last 2 years, who are looking to get their families into something. So certainly make sure you're sharp on that. And something that I've been stressing, Joe and his team, is builders and remodelers. They are a gold mine. I was talking to the #1 remodeler I work with yesterday. He said in the last 2 months, he's had people cancel large remodel files in place of basically scrapping that and saying, hey, you know, the market is softened. We're going to go try to find a bigger property. So FHA, VA, and renovators, and even builders, you know, those are all quality referral sources who have not been called on or have not been given the proper attention by professionals in our industry the last 2 years.
Yeah, it's a sweet spot in the market right now. I mean, it's, you know, I hate to talk about it. I hate to be that, like, you know, sleazy salesperson in the sense that, oh, now's a great time to buy. But it really kind of is. That pressure of the past 2 years, it's off. I mean, the right time to buy is when it's right for a buyer, when it emotionally makes sense. You know, it's that whole logic and emotion. The logic makes you think, emotion makes you act. But it's right now is a bit of a sweet spot. You don't have to overpay for a property. You can buy a home at value. Holy shit. When's the last time you were able to buy a home at value? You know, that has not happened in a couple of years now. And I think it's a nice thing to be able to do. Yes, your interest rate is higher, but maybe you get a 2-1 buy down and have the sellers pay for it. And now you bought a home at value in the next couple of years. Hopefully things work out. Hopefully you can refinance. But yeah, take care of your sphere, take care of your past clients, make sure you're in touch with them, be that news source for them, be that voice of reason for them as well. Everybody read the book, How to Listen with Intention. It's a phenomenal book. And it's one of these things that when we are having these calls with our sphere with our past clients, the number one thing we should be doing is listening to them, hearing them out of what they're saying. The three most magical words I believe in real estate, in prospecting, are tell me more. But those are three very scary words when somebody is very scared, and you don't want them to tell you more. You don't want to say, tell me more about that, because now we're just talking about that fear and that uncertainty even more. It's that time to listen. So that tell me more needs to be used in the right context. All right. Well, I gotta run. Thank you guys for joining me. We're doing these every 2 weeks, so hopefully we can see you guys in a couple more weeks.
Thanks, Joe.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you. Oh.